We got out here at daylight and found out that they shorted us. We didn't get any wiggle wire. Fortunately, it's our 5th greenhouse and we've got 25 or 30 pieces of wiggle wire laying around. That's not going to build a greenhouse, but it'll get us started. We're going to do the old golf ball trick as usual, hoping for a calm day with no wind. We'll see how this goes. So the most important thing is that you get it on square and straight. And then we always like to start with the ridge, the peak on both ends. Get it stretched just as tight as possible. And then we'll do the 4 corners and just to tack them down. And then we're gonna get both end walls, both end bows all the way across. Before we ever start on the sidewalls. You start on the sidewalls before you get the end walls done, you're getting off on the wrong foot. I'm just about a nervous wreck. We've been mighty blessed with a very calm morning, but we really needed to wait, let the sun get up on this plastic so it could stretch. You put it on cold and stiff and then the sun comes out and then it gets loose on you. So we're trying to be patient, or I'm trying to be patient and wait for the sun to come out so we can stretch this on and get it super tight. But now you can see got just a little bit of wind starting to pick up, and all we've got is this thing like tacked in 6 places on the 4 corners and at the top. So yeah, starting to get nervous. The guys went to go pick tomatoes and they should be back here any minute. And we may have to go on and jump on this before the sun gets completely on it, because I'm just getting to be a nervous wreck. Because I have been in a situation. You go back and check out our video on how not to cover a greenhouse. You'll see what happens when the wind gets up. I can't stress to you enough how important it is that you get started right with those end walls and getting them stretched on good and tight before you ever start on the sides. Because really, when we're going down the sides, we're not really affecting much. We're just kind of pulling the flash out. And where the plastic is made tight on this greenhouse, it starts in the beginning with stretching them end walls and getting all the slack and all the wrinkles out. If you get the first part done right, the rest of it is a breeze. You can see where we were stretching this little extra scrap of plastic. And the reason I do this is because when you're pulling this big sheet tight, a lot of times the wiggle wire will have a tendency to want to cut into your plastic a little bit. So we use kind of a sacrificial piece, and it doesn't look all that pretty, but yeah, I feel like it's worth doing because it really saves from ripping holes when you are going across here. Sometimes it wants to cut in, especially if you're really stretching tight. So this little sacrificial piece makes a world of difference, and you can go back carefully with a pair of scissors and trim up the excess and make it look a little neater. But that's what that's all about. You're going to have a little bit of a gap where your side curtain rolls up and down. Well, even when it's rolled down, even with it in this roll lock cinched tight, there's going to be a little bit of wind gap. So what you end up with this curtain hanging down here, if you don't have anything to protect it, you've just got like a giant gap up and down between the posts. And this is not like a magic bullet that completely solves that, but it does help tremendously. See, if you've got a big gap, you can just reach your hand in there and the wind can blow straight in, and it's really hard to heat a greenhouse that way. So we do what we call a wind block, and I'm going to set you up here and let you see how we put this in. Normally we have to run a piece of wire lock track down the baseboard to the second bow, up this bow, and then we've got our double wire lock up top. But since we've got this on it, it's actually got a built-in wire lock track. So we'll show you how we put a little piece of 4-foot plastic in the corner, and then when this all comes together to make more sense what I'm talking about. Alright, so we got our wind blocks on the four corners, and it may not be real clear what I'm talking about yet, but you can see now there's a kind of a sheet in the corner where, from the inside point of view, if the curtain was just hanging down there, you'd be able to stick your hand like right outside right there. So this kind of helps conserve heat when the wind's blowing. And now we are ready to put our roll bar, attach our roll bar, and we've got kind of the way that I like to do it is with these little gadgets right here. It's just a piece of extruded aluminum, and it sits over top of the pipe. We put screws in it. You can split PVC pipe and use it to kind of clip the plastic to the bar, but for this roll bar lock we've got to have a latching system similar to this. So we'll show you how this works. Alright, well, this is the last little detail that we got put on here, and this is different from anything I've ever done before. In the past I've always had like a swivel with a long handle, crank handle that sticks out the end of the pipe, and you just roll it up and then you stick the handle to the side, and that handle binds up and keeps the curtain from unrolling. Well, this is a little different. So it's got a guide pipe that just hangs here from a chain and an eye bolt up top, and then you've got these handles. Well, they didn't send me a handle, so I got one on loan from Holly's folks because it's real similar to the way a chicken house works. You want to wind her up, Eden? So it just is geared down. This thing has got brakes in it, so when you get the curtain where you want it, all you do is just take a handle out and she's there. So we need to actually wind it back down and wind it up into the roll lock and make sure that it's going to go to where it's supposed to, so that we can cut the excess off, because we don't need this big wad of plastic hanging down there. Keep cranking, buddy.
Like that?
Keep cranking. Now you'll see how this works.
Oh, that's cool.
Whoop. Maybe just a little bit, half a crank more or something. Whoop, that's good. So you see how this roll lock system works. It's not perfectly straight down through here, but no side curtains ever are. But even without the ropes that belong on the outside of it, you can see that this thing is pretty well tight. Now, what I was talking about earlier, I was a little unsure about what we're going to do about, is this gap. You see, as it cranks down, it leaves, I thought it was going to be like a 6-inch gap, but it's actually not that bad. Like a 3-inch gap at the bottom, and it tapers up to nothing. So that's really probably no worse than our standard greenhouse, because when the curtains roll down on it, it's just kind of dangling in the breeze. So at least with this, there's no way for it to move. But I think we can get a little better, at least on the upper ends. We should be able to do a little something. I don't know what we'll do on the crank ends. But anyway, the devil's in the details, as they say, but we are getting it whittled down. You got any words of wisdom, Malachi? You got any final thoughts, Eden?
We did a good job.
We did do a good job. I appreciate you boys helping. I guess we'll call it quits here. But I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see y'all next time.